After 7 months of waiting, the NFL is finally back. It's been a long wait since Super Bowl LV, but starting this Sunday, we'll have football every week until February. With the new season comes renewed hopes and intriguing storylines to follow. Will the Tampa Brady Buccaneers repeat as champs? Who will win the NFC least? And who will be the best rookie QB of the bunch? There's a lot to keep your eyes out for, so let's go division by division and see where the teams stack up and who will make the playoffs. Football's back, baby. Real quick, before we start, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more weekly videos. With the NFL season starting and MLB playoffs coming up, there's so much going on. So if you're interested in our content, make sure to click on that red button and ring the bell to stay notified. Feel free to give this video a like and make sure to check out my recent football video I did on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers last dance. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's start off in the AFC, where in the East I have Buffalo winning the division again. They're coming off a strong 2020 in which Josh Allen took a mega leap into stardom thanks in part to Stephon Diggs and an elite offensive line. Diggs led the league in receptions in 2020 and helped Allen go from an average QB to a top 5 type of guy in one season. They added Emmanuel Sanders to complement Diggs, which should help out the passing game even more. With their defense poised to take another step forward, the Bills will easily repeat as division champs. Behind them will be the Patriots, who have a tremendously improved roster as many of their defensive studs are back after opting out last year. They spent heavily in the offseason acquiring tight ends Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, wideouts Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne, linebackers Matt Judon and Kyle Van Noy, and defensive back Jalen Mills. There's no way around it. Coach Belichick is going to be on a scorching revenge tour after Brady won it all last year. Let's just hope he doesn't somehow turn Mac Jones into Brady 2.0. And third, I have the Dolphins taking a small step back after narrowly missing the playoffs last year. I'm not fully sold on Tua as a viable starting QB, and with that big of a question mark, it will remain to be seen if he could carry a team to the playoffs. Miami still has playmakers on offense like Myles Gaskin, Mike Gesicki, and Devontae Parker, along with rookie wideout Jalen Waddle. Waddle may very well end up being elite, which will help out Tua tremendously. Regardless, their defense should be solid once more, and even with a few departures, Coach Flores should have them in the mix late. Lastly, I have my Jets finishing at the bottom, winning 3 more games than last season. Yay? This is a true rebuilding year with the first-time head coach in Saleh, first-time coordinator in LaFleur, and first-time quarterback in Wilson. Of all the rookie signal callers though, I think Zach will shine the most. While Wilson and the Jets won't do a lot of winning, he does have the foundational pieces there to show that he is the real deal. Newcomer Corey Davis and draftee Elijah Moore, along with their revamped offensive line, will help out a lot in the passing game. Their defense is a patched up work in progress, but the pieces are there for the future. In the present though, they'll take a lot of lumps. As a Jets fan, I'm used to it though. Up north, I have the Browns finally winning their division. Coach Stefanski was a major success last year, shepherding Baker Mayfield to his best season yet. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt proved to be the most dynamic running back duo in the league, and the Browns leaned heavily on their rushing attack. With potentially the best all-around defense in the league as well, Cleveland is set to have an even better year than last year. Don't rub your eyes, Browns fans. You really aren't dreaming. In second place, I have the Ravens, whose success will once again ride on the back of Lamar Jackson. With the bevy of running back injuries, they'll have to hope Lamar can revert to his MVP ways and carry their offense once more. But the Ravens' struggles with giving Lamar a good wide receiver 1 is still evident. They signed Sammy Watkins to be that guy, but he isn't that guy, pal. Trust me, he's not that guy. That means it's still up to Mark Andrews to be Travis Kelce light, and he just isn't at that level. We'll see how much the moving pieces on offense will end up affecting their season. Next, I have the Steelers, who started off blazing hot in 2020, but fell apart in December and against the Browns in the playoffs. I have major concerns about Big Ben and whether or not he's done as a guy who can carry the offense. He's declined physically the past 3 years and is probably on his last legs. If he continues to regress, then I can't see Pittsburgh doing better than they did last season. So it'll be up to TJ Watt and others on their still elite defense to make up for it on their end. After that, I have the Bengals in last. The good news is that Joe Burrow is back from injury. The bad news is that Jamar Chase looked awful in the preseason and they still don't have an offensive line. So because of that, Burrow is in for another long year, and so are the Bengals. Hopefully for them and my fantasy team, Joe Mixon will have a bounce back year. And perhaps Trey Hendrickson will impact the defense like he did last year for the Saints when he had 13.5 sacks. But with that offensive line still suspect, Burrow should be watching Mahomes' Super Bowl tape to see what it's like to run 500 yards backwards and prepare himself accordingly. Down south, I have the Titans winning a 2-team divisional race. With the addition of Julio Jones to a stacked offense with Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, quarterback Ryan Tannehill should continue to shine. Statistically, he's been a top 5 quarterback by most metrics since being traded to Tennessee. Truly wild. Even though their defense is still mediocre at best, they should score enough points to win double-digit games. Their biggest weakness is probably a kicker, while they will have to rely on Jets legend Sam Ficken to start the year. It might be the downfall of their season, so look out, Titans fans. Next, I have the Colts finishing second, mainly due to injuries to Carson Wentz, Quentin Nelson, and T.Y. Hilton. All 3 are out for extended periods, leaving the team in chaos before the season even started. Their hopes to save their season will depend on Jonathan Taylor's emergence and Frank Reich's savvy. But even with all these injuries, I still see them finishing above 500. They have enough talent, especially on defense, with Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner, and rookie Kwity Paye leading the charge. Their top 5 defense will keep them in most games and hovering around the wildcard spot. In a distant third, I have the Jaguars, who like many other teams have a rookie QB and head coach. It remains to be seen if Urban Meyer will translate his college success to the pros. Past examples of top college coaches making the transition have shown mixed results. They still have solid offensive pieces like James Robinson and the junior wide receivers DJ Chark, Marvin Jones, and Laviska Shenault that will help out Lawrence. But in all, Jacksonville has so many holes on that offensive line that even if Trevor and Urban look good, the team will still suffer. At the bottom, I have Houston, who's currently dealing with the Deshaun Watson situation. No team wants to even trade for Deshaun at this point, leaving a big stink on the team. Who knows what will happen with him and whether or not he'll be moved. Even with Watson playing last year, the team was terrible, going 4-12. Take him out and you have probably the worst roster in the NFL. It's looking pretty bleak in Houston right now, so expect a major tank job to ensue for the Texans that will secure them the first overall pick. Out west, I have the Chiefs winning to nobody's surprise. Their one big weakness, the offensive line, has most likely been solved. The only other question is whether or not Clyde Edwards-Helaire can be the main back for them. Aside from that, their defense is still solid and their offense will be elite. For Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, and company, the regular season is simply a formality. So it's up to Coach Reid to find new ways to motivate them throughout the season and keep them fresh come playoff time. Maybe throw out Chad Henne for a few starts? Behind them, I have Los Angeles, who I think will be a surprise team in the AFC. With new coach Brandon Staley ready to bring his offensive mind to a team led by Justin Herbert, the sky's the limit for the Chargers on offense. Herbert had one of the best rookie quarterback seasons of all time, while looking like a literal teenager doing so. Their defense, headlined by Joey Bosa, remains imposing as well, so it's up to the restructured offensive line to make LA a playoff team. Who knows, maybe they'll actually have more Chargers fans than opposing fans in the stands this year. In third place, I have the Broncos, who are in a nifty quarterback position. They had an intense QB battle in the preseason in which they decided to start two-glove Teddy over Drew Lock. They do have some pieces on offense like rookie back Javonte Williams, tight end Noah Fant, and second-year receiver Jerry Jeudy. But with either Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, their ceiling is pretty limited. Their defense should rebound to being a major force again behind Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, and Patrick Surtain, but that might not be enough to get them a playoff spot. John Elway on the hot seat, anyone? Just kidding, that'll never happen. Finally, I see the Raiders falling to last place due to their lack of a defense. John Gruden has focused on getting more weapons for Derek Carr to use, but has neglected the other side of the field. They had a bottom 10 defense last year and are ranked 27th heading into 2021. The fact that they're in a division with the Chiefs and Chargers offenses doesn't help, but it doesn't mean that you can neglect that issue altogether. So Chucky and GM Mike Mayock should also be on the hot seat if they have another below average season. So for the AFC Playoffs, I have Kansas City as the top seed, followed by fellow division winners Buffalo, Cleveland, and Tennessee. In a really tight wildcard race, I have Baltimore, New England, and Los Angeles. The Chargers will beat out the Steelers in the last spot due to a head-to-head tiebreaker. Let's move over to the NFC, where over the past 2 years, no division has been more mediocre than the NFC East. In 2019, the Eagles won with a measly 9-7 record, while the 2020 Washington football team won up them by winning with a putrid 7-9 record. Of all the teams in the division to take a possible big leap this year though, my best bet is Washington. Last year they had terrible quarterback play the whole season and yet still managed to win 7 games. With future first ballot Hall of Famer Ryan Fitzpatrick manning the ship now, there's no reason that they can't get better. They have one of the best defenses in the league with Montez Sweat and Chase Young terrorizing opposing QBs, and skilled offensive players like scary Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, and Antonio Gibson. If Fitzmagic can play at or near his best level, then I see the Washington team with no name winning the East. Also finishing above 500 but in second will be the Cowboys. If Prescott is healthy and their offensive line doesn't fold before Ezekiel Elliott has a ball in his hands or the wide receivers get any separation, then the offense will be top tier. This will help the defense by not forcing them out on the field all the time, and in turn the Cowboys can rise to the top of the East once more. In third, I have the Eagles, but they themselves have a few question marks. Can Jalen Hurts be a legitimate starting quarterback? If not, then they'll have to give Gardner Minshew a chance, because this team has a lot of offensive talent to not be in games. Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, and Devontae Smith are a good group. Also, their defense is much better than people think, but the question is, can they perform up to standard? With new coach Nick Sirianni and a new scheme for either Hurts or Minshew, I don't see the Eagles winning the division. They should be a fun competitive team though. At the bottom of a tight division, I have the Giants, who are the biggest boom or bust team in the East. If Daniel Jones can finally take a leap forward, then they could make a run at the division. Their defense is underrated and they have some really good offensive weapons, especially if Saquon Barkley can come back 100%. But if Danny Dimes continues to have fumble issues, turns over the ball more than 10 times and doesn't progress, then I can't see this team being good. It's all up to him to make this team competitive, and I haven't seen anything to make me believe he's capable of that. If he can't, then Joe Judge has to cut bait and move on, and maybe Dave Gettleman might actually be fired this time. No surprise here, I have the Packers winning the North. This might very well be the last dance for Rodgers and Davante Adams. But with those two, along with Aaron Jones in the top tier offensive line, there's no reason that Green Bay shouldn't be on top. Their defense will have to perform better this year though if they hope to win it all and convince Rodgers to stay. They have the pieces like Preston and Zadarius Smith, along with Jair Alexander and Adrian Amos. That unit, along with more MVP caliber play from Aaron, will lift the Packers to an easy first place finish. Behind the Packers, I have Minnesota, who have elite playmakers on offense and defense. In reality, Kirk Cousins just has to play above average for the Vikings to make the playoffs. Cook is a top 3 back, Jefferson established himself as a leading receiver, and Thielen is criminally underrated. They have the potential to be an amazing offense, so if their defense improves like I think it should, they should be a wildcard team. You like that? You like that! For the Bears, without a clear direction at quarterback, I don't see them finishing above 500. They still have one of the best defenses in the league, as well as some weapons on offense like Allen Robinson. So if the Red Rocket plays well, they can't overperform where I think they'll be. Either that, or Fields bursts onto the scene and proves himself as the best rookie QB, which is definitely a possibility. But I don't know if either scenario will happen, and because of that, I have them finishing third. Lastly, I have Detroit, who are in a major rebuilding phase. They took on Jared Goff in the Matt Stafford trade, which is a clear downgrade at the position. Furthermore, they lost Galladay and Marvin Jones Jr., their top 2 receivers, so the cupboard will be empty for Goff upon arrival. Their first-round offensive line pick, Penei Sewell, hasn't looked good at all so far, and their defense is projected to be bottom 3. Yikes. So new coach Dan Campbell will have a lot of growing pains in his first year in Motown. I'm sure he'll handle that adversity just fine. Tampa Bay is heading into this year in an unprecedented circumstance for a defending champ. For the first time since the Miami Dolphins repeated, the Buccaneers will return all 22 Super Bowl starters for this season. With the GOAT QB, 4 elite playmaking receivers, 3 above-average backs, a top 3 O-line, a great D-line, the best linebacker group in the league, and a really good secondary, it isn't a stretch to think that Tampa Bay can actually run the slate. They probably won't, but I'm sure 14-3 and the best record in the NFL will do it for the ageless Tom. Ugh. The bigger surprise here is that I think the Saints will also be a very good team and make a run at the division. The step down from 2020 Drew Brees to 2021 Jameis Winston will not be as steep as some think. Brees was essentially a noodle arm last year, and they still almost beat the Bucs, mainly due to Alvin Kamara and their top 5 ranked defense. If Winston really has 2020 vision now, instead of the 30-30 he had in 2019, then the Saints might be the surprise team of the NFC. Oh, and don't forget about Taysom Hill, because I'm sure Sean Payton won't. For Carolina, they have a lot of potential on both offense and defense, especially offensively with wideouts Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, as well as all-world running back Christian McCaffrey. Their defense is rapidly improving, and they just got more secondary help with the arrival of rookie J.C. Horn. If Sam Darnold can unsee the ghosts of his past, and CMC can be his normal healthy self, then the Panthers might make a run at the wildcard. Atlanta will be in last, mainly because of their typical subpar defense. When new coach Arthur Smith ready to reinvigorate Matt Ryan in the offense though, they will put up a lot of points on the board. The Falcons have some good offensive players still, with Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, and rookie tight end Kyle Pitts leading what should be a high-scoring unit. One thing is for certain, they will be the most entertaining last-place team. Finally, out west, I see the Rams coming out on top again. By upgrading a quarterback with Matt Stafford, Coach McVay will be able to unleash his potent offensive scheme once more. Receivers like Woods, Kupp, Jefferson, and Higbee will all flourish with Stafford. Combine that with the defense loaded with talent, including 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates in Donald and Ramsey, and Los Angeles can make another shock run to the Super Bowl, possibly even winning it in their own stadium. Right behind them, I have the Niners clawing their way back into the playoffs. While their quarterbacks are the weak link, the rest of their roster is the same that made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. For this team, health is the biggest key. If all pros Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are back and ready to go, then they will be a great team again. On offense, they have plenty of impact guys like running backs Mostert and Sermon, receivers Debo, Ayuk, and Sanu, and of course Stone Cold George Kittle. If they get even above average play from either Jimmy G or Trey Lance, then they will ascend above the fray and make the playoffs. I think that Seattle will finish in third, in part because of their defense. Russell Wilson will always be elite and will carry the offense, with the help of Chris Carson, Tyler Lockett, Gerald Everett, and DK 0% body fat Metcalf. So it's up to Seattle's defensive line to pick up the slack if they wish to return to the postseason, because this isn't the Legion of Boom anymore. It's basically all up to Russ, who will have to cook as much as Pete Carroll lets him. Who knows, maybe Wilson will finally get the MVP vote the media so badly desires. Finally, I have Arizona in last in the most competitive division. Their offense, led by Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, should be elite, but their running game is TBD. The defense is the X factor for them. If JJ Watt can help out even a little, then the Cardinals will be a playoff team. But considering Watt's injury history, that isn't something that should be a foregone conclusion. Another year no playoffs in the desert, though, will mean that Cliff Kingsbury's job will be in jeopardy. Don't worry though, Cliff, you'll always have a modeling career to lean back on. So for the NFC Playoffs, I have Tampa getting their bye, followed by Green Bay, Los Angeles, and Washington. In the wildcard spots, I see New Orleans, San Francisco, and Minnesota nabbing those. So that concludes my 2021 NFL season preview. Let me know some of your crazy predictions for the season, as well as where I was wildly on or off point down in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.